Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most powerful ideas in all of programming, object-oriented Python. We're going to completely shift how you look at code, moving from just abstract plans to actually building smart, real-world objects.
Does this look familiar? You start a new project, everything's nice and clean, but then it grows, and suddenly you've got this massive pile of functions over here, a bunch of data over there, and you have no idea which function is supposed to use which piece of data. It's that classic spaghetti code, and trust me, there is a much, much better way. And this right here is the solution. On the left, you've got the old way, procedural programming. It's like a toolbox where all your tools and all your screws are just scattered everywhere. But on the right, that's object-oriented programming, or OOP. It's like a Swiss Army knife. The data and the functions that use that data are bundled together into one neat, self-contained unit. Every tool knows exactly what it's for, and it has everything it needs to get the job done. So, how do we start building these awesome little multi-tools? Well, it all starts with thinking like a software architect. Before you can build anything, you first need a solid blueprint. Now, this is maybe the single most important idea to get right. A class is the blueprint. It's the design, the template. It defines what a robot is, what it can have, and what it can do. But here's the key. It isn't a real thing. It takes up zero computer memory. An object, on the other hand, is the actual robot you build from that blueprint. Robot A, Robot B, Robot C, these are all instances of the robot class, and each one is a real thing that takes up memory. And you know what? Creating that blueprint in Python is incredibly simple. You just use the class keyword that tells Python, hey, I'm designing a new thing. You give it a name, and by convention, we use what's called Pascal case, so robot with a capital R. And for now, we just use the word pass as a little placeholder that says, don't worry, I'll fill in the details later. And that's it. We've literally just created the architectural plan for every robot we're ever going to build. Okay, so our blueprint is done. Let's head over to the factory floor and see how we actually manufacture a real working robot from this plan. This is where the magic happens. Every class has this special function, this special method called __init. You can think of it as the factory's automated assembly line. The second you decide to create a new robot, this __init method just runs all by itself. It's like the intake valve that gives our new robot all of its starting settings, its name, its color, and a nice full battery. Now, you probably saw that weird keyword in there, self. What on earth is that? Well, it is absolutely crucial. Self is how an object talks about, well, itself. It's like a robot looking in a mirror. So when the code says self.name equals name, it's telling that one specific robot instance, hey, take the name that was just given to you and store it in your own personal name variable. It's how each object keeps its data separate from every other object. And this brings up a really important distinction. The data we attach using self, like self.name, is called an instance attribute. Think of it like a personal backpack. It's unique to that one single robot. But we can also have class attributes. These are more like a public billboard. It's information that is shared by all robots made from that class. So something like a running total of the robot population. That would be a class attribute, because every robot needs to know about it. So our objects have data, but how do they actually do stuff? They do it with methods. And a method is really just a fancy name for a function that's trapped inside of a class. When we call the .work method on our robot, it kicks off an action. And that action can actually change the robot's own internal data. See here? When it works, it uses up 20 points of its battery, changing its state from 100 to 80. Objects aren't static. They have behaviors that change them over time. So let's just boil it all down. It's really just a simple three-step process. First, you design the architecture, the blueprint, using the class keyword. Second, you define the factory settings for every new object using __init_. And third, you give it actions, you give it behaviors by defining methods like work or charge. That's the fundamental loop for building any object in Python. Okay, so we know how to build a single object. Let's zoom out a little bit. How do these ideas help us build massive, complex, and stable software systems? It all comes down to these three pillars. You've got encapsulation, which is just bundling the data and methods together to protect them.
kind of like putting the engine safely under the hood of a car. Then there's inheritance, which lets us pass down features from a parent to a child, which saves a ton of work. And finally, polymorphism, which lets different objects respond to the same command in their own unique way. These three ideas are what let us build strong, flexible software.
Let's just zoom in on inheritance for a second, because this one is a total game changer. It's like a code multiplier. Say we have a basic robot class that knows how to manage its battery. Now, if we want to make a drone, we don't start from scratch. We just say the drone inherits from robot. Instantly, it gets all the battery logic for free, and all we have to do is add the new fly method. Same for the submarine. It inherits from robot, and we just add a dive method. It saves a ridiculous amount of time and stops you from repeating code.
So you might be thinking, okay, robots and submarines are cool, but is this just some abstract computer science theory? No way. This architectural language is the foundation of pretty much the entire digital world you use every single day.
I mean, just look at this. It is literally everywhere. If you've ever played a video game, every character, every enemy is an object managing its own health and position. If you've ever used pandas for data science, that data frame is an object with methods like .head. If you use web apps built with Django, database models are built with classes. The point is, you've probably been using object-oriented programming for years without even realizing it.
So what's next? Well, now it's your turn to be the architect. Here's a little challenge for you. Try building a bank account class. It needs to know its owner and its balance, and it should have methods to deposit and withdraw money, but with a little check to make sure you can't withdraw more than you have. This is the absolute perfect exercise to make all these ideas stick. And I want to leave you with this final thought. As you take on that challenge, just remember what you're really doing. You're not just learning to write logical lines of code. You're learning a new way to see the world around you. You're learning how to build accurate, interactive models of reality itself. Now go build something amazing.